Coming up on this week's World Stories. Freedom for some, the Chibok girls in Nigeria. Eye in the sky off Tanzania. But first, to Berlin, where finding housing for the thousands of refugees taken in by the city hasn't been easy. And while new homes made from containers are a definite improvement, the arrangement has its critics.
Berlin's Old Tempelhof Airport. This is where a new refugee camp is being built. One of 23 container villages planned for the city to move migrants out of emergency accommodation. In another part of town, this container village is already in use and home to 250 refugees, mainly from Syria, Iraq, Iran and Afghanistan. Alan Chaiko shares his container home with 3 other Syrians. Before moving here in January, they lived in a sports hall for more than a year.
This is my room, my bed, a cupboard. This is my bathroom.
They've been told they could have to live here for up to 3 years. They're among the 70,000 refugees who have arrived in the city since 2015. Finding a flat in Berlin is difficult. The city is going through a housing crisis at a time when more and more people are moving here. Sascha Langenbach from Berlin's State Office for Refugees admits the containers aren't ideal, but he says they're a huge improvement.
In the sports halls, people didn't even have the independence to use a light switch for a year. Here, at least, they'll be able to close the door behind them and, for example, do their German homework. That's extremely difficult if you're living in a sports hall with 200 others. Yes, of course, people were probably hoping for something better, but we don't have that at the moment. For now, this is a step in the right direction.
The container homes are controversial, especially the ones on the Old Tempelhof airfield. 3 years ago, Berliners voted in a referendum to keep it as a park and against its development. But that's not the only reason Esther Witt, who's part of a local campaign group, is against the containers.
It's still a mass camp for over 1,000 people. It's still very isolated and not integrated into the neighbourhood. And doing this here on Tempelhof airfield, which people voted to protect, it just seems like they're preparing for more permanent buildings. Ultimately, it's not really helping refugees.
It might be just a short-term solution, but it's set to cost the city €17 million over the next 2.5 years. After that, authorities say they'll remove the containers and return the corner of the airfield to Berliners. But where will the refugees go then?
To Nigeria now, where 82 of the nearly 300 Chibok schoolgirls kidnapped in 2014 by the terrorist group Boko Haram were released earlier this month. A cause for family celebrations.
The Kikai family has waited for this moment for more than 3 years. Finally, they can hold their daughter, Haiwa, in their arms again. I'm so happy. Just happy and grateful to God. They have a lot of catching up to do. Hawa's parents show her photos of the rest of the family, and she gets to see how everyone's changed. And then finally Hawa gets to talk on the phone with her siblings again. They've constantly been asking about her. No day goes by when they haven't asked me, how is she? Does she get enough to eat? Where does she sleep? On a mattress? Or on leaves from the jungle? They really worried a lot about her and always asked about her. I then tried to calm them down and tell them that everything is okay and that she would return one day. Her father hopes that everybody will soon be able to live together again. If things remain peaceful now, she can return home. Why shouldn't she? She can return home and take her graduation exam. But that seems unlikely. Last October, 23 girls were freed from the militant group Boko Haram, but the government still has the girls in its care in the capital. Some parents complain that they hardly get access to their own daughters. A government spokesperson on Nigerian television offered this explanation.
I have a sense that the most important thing for the country is these girls must be of security interest in the first instance. Who knows, among them, maybe some of them may have returned radicalized. And releasing them, to the mainstream might pose a danger itself to the society.
Boko Haram recently released a video supposedly showing 4 of the kidnapped girls from Chibok. In it, they pledged loyalty to Boko Haram and refused to return home. Observers, though, are warning against placing the girls under suspicion. Instead, they say their families should be brought in to play a greater role.
It is not acceptable that they should be kept away from family, friends, and relations for so long. I don't see any justification for that, and the reasons given by government are not sufficient for me.
Hawa's parents, meanwhile, can only guess what she has gone through in the past 3 years. All they hope for now is some peace and quiet and a return to somewhat of a normal life.
What's in a name? A lot if your furniture company is called Lufa, which stands for many things, but above all, simple design and local wood. The idea of businessman Enrique Arriaga from the Spanish Basque Country. Lufa is life.
A few beds, chairs, and a table, and also one customer. At first glance, it doesn't look like a success story. You have to go next door to the production room and watch Enrique Arriaga in action. The boss and founder of Muebles Lufe is also a busy worker. He carries the lumber and works through the orders. Exactly 3 years ago, he hit rock bottom. In my career, I've tried many ways to add value to this wood. All the projects were great, but I lost a lot of money and the family business went bankrupt. But I always worked hard and was full of enthusiasm. Then Enrique came up with a new idea. He tried selling solid beds that could be easily produced and assembled from Basque pine wood for 40 euros. He called his business Lufe, which stands for local, universal, functional, and ecological. It's ecological because the certified wood comes directly from a nearby sawmill, giving it a small carbon footprint. Until recently, the sawmill owner thought Enrique was crazy, but now he's full of respect. At first, I didn't believe it would succeed. And now he uses so much lumber that he's my best customer. Until recently, Enrique was cruising along with 20 orders a day and employing 8 people, including 4 family members. His startup was manageable and grew slowly. As a self-made man, Enrique made the assembly instructions for the furniture himself. A few weeks ago, he was getting new offices ready when an article about Lufe appeared in the national daily El País. The headline read, "The Basque Idea." His calm workdays were quickly over. The article spread quickly, and a day or two later, we had 196,000 hits on our website and 160 orders per day. The furniture startup doesn't aspire to be a Spanish IKEA, but wood from the Basque Country has allowed Lufe to carve a lucrative niche for itself, and Enrique is clearly delighted with the success.
Finally, to drones that are being used to help save some of the world's most beautiful ecosystems. Zanzibar, off the coast of Tanzania, is world famous for its coastline and mangrove forests, but much of this is now at risk.
From untouched coastline to tropical forests and age-old fishing villages, the best place to behold the jewels of Zanzibar is from the sky. But now we also know how quick those jewels are disappearing. Computer scientists from the University of Zanzibar are using drones to take pictures of every centimetre of the isles. They hope the images will encourage more responsible development.
We believe that there are thresholds to environment, there are limits. You may have the numbers of hotels, but if you don't know where exactly are they, what is the interference of these hotels to water, to marine water, and to the people. Maybe what was before, maybe there was a forest or mangrove forest. So the information is good because we want to balance. We are talking about responsible tourism, right?
The maps that these drones create are more than 25 times more detailed than those of Google. It allows these technicians to see Zanzibar in a way that no government nor scientist has ever seen before, and they hope that will expand these isles' horizons.
The tens of thousands of drone photos are meshed together to create stunning 3D maps. They could help authorities work out where buildings are going up too fast, like this area, where they took 2 images just 6 months apart.
So if you look in a small area like this one, and then we came up to take another image to see what has been changed. Yeah. So the green is running off in Zanzibar, and we want to prevent that. It changed me to understand I need to do something for myself. I need to tell people like how we are building, it is not really good, because in fact we are destroying our own environment.
It's not only a question of beauty. Poor infrastructure and planning ruins lives in Zanzibar. Annual floods frequently kill people and submerge neighborhoods for days on end.
I thank God the floods haven't killed anybody in our neighborhood, but they destroy our property and people have to leave their houses. They lose possessions, beds, all sorts of things, and we are poor people. It takes us a long time to recover.
The researchers say they will supply their maps to all relevant authorities and empower communities to hold people accountable. So while beauty lies in the eye of the beholder, its preservation may lie much higher up.